Now, I'd like to explain, first of all, how this particular book came about. It is a unique book. It is a mixture of family history, observation, dramatisation, and the poetry. All my interests came together in an unrepeatable fusion, and it started to take shape in the early 90s. The actual idea for the book I had in 1994, and I kept some notes then. It has taken me 20 years to write this book, so I can't be in a hurry now. So, family is belonging. Belonging, if we're lucky, we have a family to belong to. They might drive us crazy, but it doesn't matter. We belong to them, they belong to us. And family engenders a loyalty that is both lovely and dangerous. So I decided to produce a family history, but in my way, al modo mio, and to tell my own story. And just because of the way I am and what I value, I believe that one's own story is a visceral thing. It's a whole combination of colour and scent and taste and music, body, soul, spirit, the full package, very inclusive. And I think it's a paradox that by being so personal, one can speak to others if there is the authenticity there. The book, I can say without affectation, that it shows its own shape, doubtless influenced by my literary background too. So we have characters in the book. Tom, my father, Mari, Orlando and Sophia, Giulia even is a character. There's dramatic dialogue. There's a kind of pseudo-encyclopedism in that vein. I call this in the book the signs of reading, circa 1960. And there are different little signs, Angus and Robertson's, the Seagull Library, the imprints and the stores. They are no more, but that was, at that time, a list, a picture of the signs of reading, circa 1960. Then the events of the book are quite novelistic, and I have always thought that, really, you don't need to invent things when life itself is so utterly ridiculous, crazy, mad, improbable. Just the things that do happen, that's interesting enough. So that's the plot, as it were. And then there is, in the book, a kind of level which is about the book. Technically, I guess you would call it a meta-memoir. It is about memoir as well as being a memoir. This is Nonna, the only grandparent that I knew well. And she was a real character. That's me, and that's her place in Coogee. Nonna was very playful, and I do talk about play a lot in the book. This is Orlando and Sophia, 1991, playing the game they called Fatty Boomsticks. So I talk about play and also imagination. This is Orlando as a child's illustration called Designs for Wings, which I kept, which I loved. I love the concept, Designs for Wings. In a way, a lot of what I'm writing about is about designing wings, ways of dealing with what you have to deal with and transcending too. As I say in my introduction to this book, nothing has been invented, but everything has been imagined. I talk about food in the book. I have a chapter 5 is on food. These are pictures of Giulia cooking with Orlando and Sophia there. This illustration from the book I call The Fabric of Memory. It's made up of swatches of fabric from favourite wraps or clothing. I was just intrigued by the way in which your memory is composed of these fragments, and how if you come across something like that unexpectedly, it can throw you. I know it's the Proustian Madeleine thing, but it can throw you into a whole series of memories, and you can smell the time, you can feel the time. I talk too in the book about love, real love, the love that hurts. This is a picture of Giulia, me, and baby Sophia reunited after, when she was very little, and she's now 21, I had cancer. I say had, it's all over. But I did have cancer of the thyroid, and I had to be separated from her and be treated. And then we were reunited, and that expression on my face just conveys, I think, the fierceness that love has, that there's a helplessness there. You are helpless in the face of that love. This is a set of photos that I reserved for the back cover. I'd like to have on the back cover of the book, I intend to. And you may remember that those photo booths became popular at a certain era. And I actually remember this. I remember this reaction because I remember being stunned by the lights and then thinking it vaguely humorous and then thinking it absolutely hilarious. And, I like to think that it's a bit of a metaphor for a response to life because, as they say, if you don't laugh, you are just going to be pretty much crying a whole lot of the time. So it's a way of looking at life. I say this in conclusion, that when you look at the book, when you read it, when you buy a chapter or 10 or read the whole thing, if you don't like it, as my nonna would have said, stato zit, you don't tell anyone. If, on the other hand, you do like it, you tell everybody.